everyone. I'm here with the delicious Anna. She's like one of my favorite people. She did SHS last year and is one of the topics she loved the most was the wheel of consent. And so we're going to be here talking today about the concept of ongoing consent. I think I'd love to maybe even just start by what inspired you to ask this question. Like, how does it speak to you in your soul?
Thank you, Hanin. Yeah, I think it's such a big topic for me, and it was really a revolution to learn what about ongoing consent was, and it's something that I learned from your class, Hanin. Like, I kind of knew what consent was. It's like saying yes or no to something, but then ongoing consent, it's like the whole revolution, because it's something that you can check in with yourself again and again. About how you feel right now, and you can say no at any moment.
This ability to check in with oneself moment to moment, rather than it being like this all or nothing feeling. We suddenly approach someone at a dinner party and we think, oh gosh, I'm stuck with this person. And actually we have every single second, or even like from day to day, from week to week, we are a different person. How can we stay true to ourselves, and also for other people not to assume our consent in something? So if I've had sex with someone one time, should they assume that I'm okay to go there again? The most important ingredient in all of this is that we feel like we have choice. The only way we feel we can have choice is when we really believe that there are not negative consequences to us saying, no, I'm going to step out of this interaction. The reality, though, is that people do get affected by you. Like, they might feel shut down or withdrawn or hurt by the fact that you're like, sorry, I don't want to engage with you in this particular way, right? Not everyone's going to be like, thank you for your no, I really appreciate that. Like, we will have people who, so I don't know how, if that's something, Anna, you've like been able to build some resilience in, or to empower yourself with the permission to have ongoing consent in the face of like, resistance.
What was very helpful for me there is to start practicing saying no, and like having consensual relationships in the relationships that are already safe, where I know that, for example, my relationships with my friends, where I know that I will say no and they will celebrate it. I will receive their no with like celebrating and encouraging them to take space and to take time for themselves. Then when I go into the situation when I'm not sure how the person will welcome my no, I know already that it's okay to say no.
You're basically like first surrounding yourself with people who are affirmative, right? Who have this culture, who already like celebrate it, to build the confidence and the empowerment that like, this is how I want, this is how I wish to be, so that by the time you do it with people who are more resistant, you can stand anchored in yourself, knowing like, okay, like they just haven't been initiated. Another question might be like, how do you initiate someone to this idea of what's ongoing consent when you're dating random people from Tinder and they're like, what do you mean you don't want to like do this? We were just doing this before, or like, hang on, you just like, you like sucked my pee. Like, I don't know, there's so many ways this can come out. Like, how do you navigate this to people who don't know about this?
I have so many like funny stories about that. I would start with very simple things. Like, for example, like, like this normal scripted date, maybe you're going to like cook dinner together or like have a glass of wine. And I start with very simple things. It's like, would you like to have avocado in your salad? And then I kind of check in, is this person able to say no to me? And then like with these little questions, I'm trying also to see, can I say no to this person? Am I feeling safe to say no to this person? Just like starting with this very simple non-sexual questions, and maybe even creating like a game out of it. Oh yeah, I really want to like create safety like in the simple things, and I want to make sure that I am able to say no to you. Would you like to play this game?
Oh, like there's levity in there. You're role playing, it's a game, and therefore it doesn't feel like it has consequences, but then it also gives them permission next time to use it in a real life situation because you've already played it as a rehearsal.
Exactly. And with the very like non-sexual things. And then like the people in general like playing games, they're like, oh yeah, that's fun, let's like do. And then it also becomes like a sort of flirting, it's like, yes, no. I think you shared it a little bit in SHS, also the consent games. Yes, no, maybe games. And it's super like, I find it super flirty and super fun to play these games with with people to create safety. It starts also with very low key things, and then you can go further and explore these boundaries. And every no that the person tells me, I'm like, oh, great boundaries, amazing.
If we can affirm the behavior again and again, it encourages that all the time. It's like a dog with a treat. That sounds a bit odd, but and another point that I thought of when you said this is these are all such great ideas, and I'm going to paste these games in this post. And you know how dating can feel a bit game-like? You know, there's a bit of guessing. It's just like, oh, you know, and I think this only like broaching this topic with a person you're dating, playing these games, doing the yes, no, maybe game, I think takes away from the game in a good way, right? It's like let's just be real with each other here. And it's like, I don't have to fucking guess or caretake anymore. And it takes away that anxiety actually a lot. I can be quite anxious when I'm dating. So there's something here about it really encouraging honesty. Like honesty doesn't always have to be like, oh, I love you, you're great. It's honesty is also like, no, I don't want this. And then that builds safety. So safety equals like this authenticity, which is like the opposite to game-like.
Like I'm such a people pleaser, and like I noticed that especially with people that I don't know, I have this tendency like I want them to like me, like I want to please them, and I'm like, okay, fuck this, like I don't want to do this anymore, like I want to be honest with my boundaries, with my no. I have a desire for the other person to be as authentic with me and to not have this pressure to please.
I love that. This is, I mean, I could go down a big tangent there, but I want to keep this like short and sweet and make sure we get to something that I've been finding really personally challenging. How do you navigate ongoing consent in a way that also honors commitment, right? So maybe you change your mind, but you've like planned to meet somebody, or you're in a relationship with someone and they're expecting you to show up in a certain way in order to have some level of growth or building something together. And how do you take responsibility for the consequences, right? Because some people can really be impacted by you stepping out of an interaction and be very hurt. So how do you handle it in a way that's both tactful and taking responsibility also towards any commitment? I actually want to say one thing on that, which is sometimes there can be a difference between consent and wanting. So maybe you have committed to something with somebody and you could still consent to doing it with them and not want to do it. That is still possible. They can be mutually exclusive, I guess. I would say another thing for me is checking in with the reasons I don't want to do something. Is it coming from a more kind of trauma or wounded place? Yeah, because I think there's a propensity for me to be like, oh, I don't know, I'm changing my mind, indecisiveness, blah, 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 blah. And I think there's actually merit to like honoring, you know, something that I've said I'm going to do. So how do we navigate that balance? That's something I'm personally struggling with.
Oh my God, honey, this is such great question. I honestly, I think I'm still struggling with this so much. Your communication, your no can affect like that this person maybe doesn't want to relate with you anymore. I'm thinking also that about the responsibility, that I am responsible for my experience, right? And my responsibility is to communicate what feels right for me right now and to communicate it in a compassionate way. Even if I committed to something, I can always change my mind, communicate that this agreement or this commitment doesn't work for me anymore for a certain reason, because we change all the time. And I would love to have like to create connections with people and relationship with people who also kind of have similar vision to commitments and agreements as I have, because then I think it makes it easier. But of course, not everyone will have it, and maybe it's not the only way to do it. So I don't know.
I've been finding that a really good practice for me is to really sit with and understand why I don't want to honor what I've committed to. I think it helps the closure and clarity for the other person to receive like a more thought out, like, these are my reasons, as opposed to like, yeah, sorry, I don't really feel like doing that today. Like, it almost feels like they don't matter. They need really leading from your heart, from a place of this is going to really impact the person I'm speaking to, and they really matter, and I have considered them in this decision, so that it's not entirely like, where's the balance between selfishness and like, you know,
compassion, yeah, even like caretaking a little bit.
Yes, where is that balance? Like, I'm like always on one extreme or the other. It's like roll over and I'm like, oh no, you're right, like I'll do everything, I'm so sorry, or it's like, I don't want to do this, I'm sorry, and I just drop it.
Yes, there are sometimes things change for us, and it also impacts other people around us, so they need to adapt as well, and I always keep this in mind. But then I think my job is to communicate what is true for me in the most compassionate way, right? But then I cannot control the reaction of the other person. I can hold space for them, I can offer them something, but then what can I do? I cannot control their emotions, I cannot control their experience, and I'm not willing to do that.
That is insane that you just said that, because literally one of the SHSs said to me, he's like, can you answer in one of your videos, Haneen, how do I take responsibility for my actions without taking responsibility for someone's reactions and feelings to that?
This is such a big one for me. I'm learning it every day.
Yes, same here. Oh my God.
And of course, like what I do will trigger people, and that's okay. And I can allow them to experience that.
That's true. Short of like wrapping ourselves in cotton wool, it's not like we are going to impact people. This conversation has been a really powerful reminder of, if I say yes to myself, then I can be more trustworthy in that relationship. And so even the negative impacts of that are worth it to build that sense of realness in the relationship. Don't see the triggered behaviors as a bad thing. See it as a way to build intimacy.
I love it.
That would be my takeaway. Like, cultivate a healthy and safe and good relationship with those difficult feelings. Can you be with that discomfort yourself? Because if you can, then you're more likely to be able to hold the uncomfortable feelings of the other person too. And as a sensitive person, that's been really hard. Like, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm a gentle person, so like if someone feels really sad, I've now noticed, like, okay, I can be with that sadness. But if it's anger, I'm less okay with being angry myself. So that's harder for me to deal with. So
learning.
That's non-stop.
Learning by doing, learning by practicing.
Thank you, Anna, for bringing such an important topic to the table today. I'm just so I'm inspired by you bringing it into the folds of your life and your culture, into people, and spreading this, because I think, the more people can really embrace this ethos of living, the easier it will for us to stay true to ourselves. And that's really my main mission in life.
I can feel that it's your mission, because it impacted me in so many ways. So thank you so much for being on this mission and spreading the juiciness and love and joy of ongoing consent.